We just got done. We just beat it. We just beat Ghost of Yōtei. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it Ghost of Yōtei? Or is it Ghost of Yōtei? Where does it land? What do you guys think? From 1 to 10 in the chat. Get it in the chat. As I said, we just beat it just right last night. Long, epic finale. Now, my playthrough, I went back and crunched the numbers. It's something like 50 hours. It's something like 50 hours. So, I mean, it's safe to say I got my money's worth out of this game. Well, they did give me the game, by the way. This was given to me by Sony. But the opinions are my own. But this is a full, beefy, well-made game. So here's what I'm going to say just right out the gate. Let's just cut to the chase. This is a good game. This is a good game. There's no doubt about it, okay? And now, also, it should be known, we played the first one. I think now it's almost like 2 years, maybe 2 years ago. Played through the first one, and then the DLC, even more recently, I did Iki Island. So we did Ghost of Tsushima and the DLC Iki Island. So I'm pretty familiar with the first one, and I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan. I thought Tsushima was one of my more favorite of like the Sony exclusive IP things, you know? I really liked it. But I did acknowledge some of the shortcomings of Tsushima. Like, you know, even now when you go back and play it, especially the director's cut, which is what we did, that first game is just still beautifully stunning, and the graphics and presentation are so good, dude. They are. But the open world was a little bit lacking. Hit the deck. So even though I really love Tsushima, what's up, Hickson? Welcome. Big sub. It was lacking in some ways, okay? It almost felt like this beautiful samurai game that did have this cool, epic, grand story of Jin Sakai and him turning his back on the honorable samurai ways, taking on some shinobi tactics, clashing with his uncle. And I think all that was pretty good about the game. But the open world at times did feel a little empty, just kind of like it was like a big, beautiful, empty landscape sometimes. You know, with the pretty flowers, and then there'd be like an enemy encampment that just plopped in the middle of it, you know, like, but there was some good exploring. It just like, I don't know. It wasn't the perfect game. It wasn't. But it was great, and it was a favorite of mine. Brandon in the chat with the $6 per each. Yōtei 6 taken down. Congrats on finishing the game, Sherpa. Thank you, Brandon. That's a huge dono. 6 for the 6 Yōtei. Thank you, bro. It means a lot, man. That's cool. So, okay. That being said, I'm coming into this off of Tsushima. Loving Tsushima, okay? I know this game came out with a little bit of controversy for one reason and another, right, leading up to the launch and everything. And just in general, I think some people were wanting maybe another, if it was a sequel, they wanted more to Jin's story instead of some new character, this new woman character. You know, what is this? This isn't Jin. I felt like Jin's story was done. I didn't fit in that camp. I felt like it was like, because I also did the DLC with Jin. And so like, I was like, that was his cool story. I get it. It was dope. Big story about the war with the Mongols and all this. It was cool, okay? I didn't want the next game to be Jin. I didn't care. Like, it wasn't a big issue for me, okay? And so I'm going to give you a little bit of background here about going into this game because it leads to my score on this game. I promise you. Hear me out. So, one of the things that was a core component to the experience of the first game, thanks again, Brandon, 1-2, was Jin's kind of moral dilemma of not wanting to do savagery and, you know, dirty tactics and wanting to be honorable. And like, it was like a dilemma for him. So there were certain constraints on Jin's character. You were more playing Jin than you were role-playing in this open world, okay? In the sense that, like, Jin's not going to be walking around doing some of the stuff I feel like Atsu could be doing in this game, like all the bounties. Like, it wouldn't really make sense for a character like Jin to be doing those kind of activities. So you were kind of like more pigeonholed into Jin's story. Even when you were role-playing in the open world, you were definitely Jin, and he's definitely not going to want to be this morally gray character, you know what I mean? Hickson with the 2. Sherpa, did you watch any of the clips in the Discord? Yeah, I have stuff to say. Remind me after this, actually. Thank you, bro. Remind me. I did. So, when we were leading up to this game coming out, at first, when I saw it was this new character and it was this woman character, I thought it was like Jin's daughter or some relation or something. I wasn't like keeping track with the marketing and everything. But then when I found out it was a whole new character, a whole new thing, I was very excited. I was. Because I knew they could just kind of do whatever they wanted. It didn't have to do Jin's character and his morality issues. They could do whatever they wanted, right? So I was actually super open to that idea, and I was really looking forward to it ever since I figured that out, okay? Now, when we first started this game, I was totally blown away again. It's true. I really loved it. This game is definitely an improvement on the first game in many, many ways, okay? I want to go through some of those ways because I think any of the conflicted reviews that you hear of this game from people that actually played it and tried to... Thank you, Hickson. From people that actually played it and, you know, tried to experience it, I think the main reviews that aren't all good are people not liking the story mainly as much as the first game, from what I've seen. And I kind of understand that now. I do. Especially now that we're done. Because they kind of... Here's what I'm trying to hit at, okay? Jin's story was a little bit more linear with his character and his morality, and you're kind of like playing as Jin, even though you're in this open world doing exploration, samurai stuff, right? With Atsu, I thought at first that they were taking this different direction because it's just this new woman that needs revenge on the Yōtei 6. Yo, shout out to Kilo with the 5 gifted, bro. Thank you, man. Welcome, 5. You're the best. Big Friday, guys. So I thought that they were shedding the chains of some of the Jin's moral dilemma, and instead we were getting this new character, Atsu, who just was cold-hearted, wanted some revenge. And then I thought they would double down on all the open world stuff and the roleplay immersion stuff and all this. And they did deliver on half of what I'm saying, okay? For the first half of this game, which, by the way, the bulk of the game is in the first half. Right now is when you should start worrying about spoilers. I don't know what I'm going to say. There's no script here, okay? I'm just going off the hip. So buckle up. First half of this game is all in like the first chapter. There's something weird with the pacing. I'll get to that in a minute. But for the whole first half of the game, I was like really, really invested. I really, really liked it. First of all, graphical improvement from the first game, absolutely. Anybody that's saying otherwise or acting like, oh, it's just DLC for the first game, glorified DLC, is either rose-tinted glasses or they have not played the first game, or it's been a while. I played it recently on the best possible way to see it and play it. It's not as good as this. This is definitely better. The presentation's better. The graphics are better. On top of that, there's all kinds of little details and improvements in the open world. Some of these I need to go back and check to remember if they were there, but I don't think they were. Things like Atsu cutting through the flowers just when you're in a fight. I don't remember that kind of stuff in the first game, at least to the degree that it's in this game. You got the Odachi out, the big boy katana. Big girl katana, sorry. Do a huge slice. It'll go through like 2 guys. And then if you land on the ground and cut through the flowers, it'll cut through the flowers and they'll stay cut down. It's like crazy. And there's little details like that all across the world. The open world in this game is a vast improvement from the first game. It's better looking, it's more interesting, it's more populated, it's more detailed. The various regions are a little bit better and more diverse than they were in the first game for sure. There's just a lot more life in them. I mentioned as we were playing it on our playthrough live, in the first game, a lot of the buildings you'd go into were just like empty. Like you might even be able to go into some and there might be like a guy standing there or something, but there just really wasn't a lot of the interior detail or anything like that. This game ups that by far, don't you guys think? by far. I mean, some of these areas you're in, you feel like you're in this tavern chilling and people are drinking with these painted, you know, doors and everything. Like, it's way better. So all of the world is better in my opinion, and the exploration is better. The graphics and the presentation are better. They even give us those 2 additional modes on top of Kurosawa mode now. You got the Watanabe mode and the Miike mode. Watanabe mode's on right now. You're hearing the lo-fi. And then Miike was like the adding extra blood splatter and mud kicking up from the ground. I don't know if I loved the mud as much, by the way, I will say. I love the extra blood. The mud seemed like a bit much. I get that it's like the signature, but like I got used to it after a couple days and forgot about it. But the mud's a little much. Okay. So it's cool that they even gave us some extra homage modes to enjoy. Okay. And then even leaning into the improved open world more, they've done stuff like this. They really Red Dead 2-ified parts of the game. They really did. That's why you see me sitting at a camp right now. You can just sit up camp wherever you want and chill. People will even... This guy's sitting here. You might be wondering who this dude is. I've been wondering this whole time because... Well, I actually know who he is, but this dude just randomly walked up. Like, a lot of these moments are just kind of random encounters that will be, you know, RNG. It's like scripted, but not scripted. But you could just set up camp, cook, eat, play your shamisen, craft. Some dude will walk up and try to sell you stuff or talk to you. All this stuff is like, there's little like Red Dead type immersive world stuff added all over the game. And I think all of that is the good stuff. I've been starting out with most of all the good stuff, okay, about this game. So, like, all that's 10, okay? And just still, the swordplay and the style and the finesse, when you're flowing with this game, there's just nothing like it, man. It's like, in terms of like, genuine pseudo-realistic samurai stuff. I know it's not like 100% authentically realistic, but not like over the top like Sekiro, for example, right? But as far as kind of halfway realistic sword fights and stylish stuff, there is nothing that beats this. For my money right now, there's just nothing that beats it. The photo mode is amazing and it's better than it was before. It's just crazy, okay? So all of those things are improved on. Now, for those reasons, that's why I liked it more. I actually enjoyed this playthrough more than I enjoyed Tsushima overall, okay? And I think it's because the people that really like Tsushima more and prefer it more like the story more. The big grandiose story of Jin, you know, going against it and trying to solve the war and all this, right? I didn't care. I always thought the story of Jin was great. I didn't think it was bad. And I thought I had its moments for sure. But I just didn't, I'm gonna be honest, I never thought the main story of Tsushima and Jin were like 10 out of 10. I thought they were like serviceable, pretty good stories attached to like a beautiful, awesome samurai game. That's what made it good. So for me, when we were going into this one, like I told you near the beginning of this video, I was really hoping that like they almost like just were using this character as a way to not care as much about this big moral story and just give me this cold-hearted revenge tale, and you've doubled down on the immersion, Red Dead 2 type stuff. Let me go play it, right? That's where I was at, okay? And so for the first half of the game, it was delivering that for me. I really do think it was. King Kai with the $4.99, the $5 in the chat. The last wolf upgrade is cool. It lets you call the wolf in the open world. Yeah, and we'll talk about the wolf too, and that wolf howl especially. And so anyway, the first half of this game, which is the majority of this game, it's like where the bulk of the content is, okay? It was delivering that. The favorite parts for me were exploring the open world, finding the different little settlements that would have different bounty boards. Like each little town had little different bounty boards with different bounties even. That was my favorite part, doing the bounties and then going to find these interesting bounties that were all kind of creative and different. And that's the stuff that like Tsushima wasn't delivering on, that this game does deliver on in spades. You've got all the stuff from the first game, but kind of tweaked in it better in my opinion. You've still got the fox dens, which are kind of the same, and then you upgrade the charms and all that. But instead of like the haikus, like Jin would sit down and write a haiku, Atsu sits down and plays the shamisen. And I like it more. I like walking around playing the shamisen in the open world and then killing somebody right after. Doing these cinematic role-playing things that I like to do. Pink Kai, thanks again, bro. These things that you couldn't do as much of in Tsushima. It's more immersive here. So all of that stuff was great. The bounties were great. The little things we were finding were great. The dueling trees were some of my favorite stuff. Finding the Takizo on the top of the world on the mountain was like peak of the game, highlight for me. All that stuff was so good. Okay? But then we got to the second half of the game. And I'm just going to be honest. I have to be honest. I didn't hate it at all. By the way, if you want a spoiler for this review, I'm at like an 8, possibly a 9. Like, this is not a bad game. Nothing I'm going to say is like terrible. But I'm also just going to point out some stuff I think could have been better. Or at least for me. Okay? Is that fair? Is that fair, guys? So for the whole first half of this game, I was riding high, guys. You heard me. I was like, this is the best. And I really did love this experience overall more than Tsushima. I put more hours into this one playthrough. I don't know how I heard some people saying this is shorter than Tsushima. That's insane. I put more hours on this one playthrough of Yōtei than I did in Tsushima and Iki Island combined, the DLC. And like, I was not speedrunning Tsushima. I had fun the whole time through. I was just more incentivized, I don't know, personally to do the things in this game. It was just satisfying. It was addicting. Get the little map pieces and gotta go find, I don't know. It was just addicting. I liked it. It worked better for me here. But then we get to the second half of the game where, and I guess we should say, right, the whole story is that Atsu's family is murdered by the Yōtei 6. This group of bandits, right? And she wants revenge. That's as simple as that. It's like Kill Bill. That's all I need, really, okay? And that's all I wanted. And I was like so ready. She's got the dope sash hanging down with the names written on them. And you even have to write the names on the touchpad, like in kanji or whatever. It's just like so cool, dude. It started so strong. And then the whole game, she's wearing that sash that's got the names and you cross them off as you kill them. And like the whole concept is so cool. Okay. So I was hoping at that point that the world was going to open up and we could go track down these 6 Yōtei however we wanted. Was I the only one that thought that? It's not like that. Now we're getting into just some of my nitpicks of the game. I'm going to call them nitpicks because I really do think this is a great game and I really do recommend this game. I think this is the immersive roleplay samurai cinematic photo op game to beat. It is. It's the one to beat. Even past Tsushima. But I'm also going to nitpick some things. I recommend it. Imagine if you're not people like us that play games all the time and you're nitpicking games and you just pick this up with a PS5. You'd be like, oh my God, this is sick. So I definitely recommend this game. Here's some nitpicks. A lot of these nitpicks come from the fact that it's a sequel. We already have Tsushima and Tsushima was already mad impressive, right? So this game improved on all those things I told you about, which for me are the more important things. Like I told you, the story of Tsushima was great, but it was like, wasn't even my favorite. So I just wanted them to improve mostly on the world and the immersive role-playing kind of fun stuff, right? When I say role-playing, I don't mean like stats, by the way. I'm talking like, you know, pretending I'm like a Ronin Onro out here, right? And so for the first half of the game, I'm just doing that. I'm treating the game like that. And it was going great. Now, here's some nitpicks. It's not totally open. When you first see the map, let me show you. When you first see the map, you start out right here. I'm actually by the home right now. So you start out here, okay? But you see this whole map, you know? But they're siloed off. They're like interestingly kind of siloed off into these little sections. Now, it's not that big of a deal because you can like fast travel wherever, and the game loads immediately, by the way. That's another huge bonus. The loading is like crazy. And the performance, 60 FPS. I did PS5 Pro performance mode with the ray tracing. Great frame rate, performance the whole time. But it's not totally open world. It's not totally open world, okay? And it's siloed off into these kind of different portions where to get to the next like region, you have to like go through this area, this kind of cinematic area, then you're in the next region. So it's just definitely not as totally open as I think it could have been. It feels like you're going into these different like instanced regions, man, sometimes. And you cannot take down the Yōtei 6 in any order, okay? You can't. You've got to take down, well, like the first one's a freebie because it's part of the story. It happens right away. You can pick between the next two. That's the only choice. You can pick between the Oni, the Oni and the Kitsune, right? That's it. And then the rest of them are all part of the story and unfold as they do. So it is still a very linear experience here to in a lot of ways. And I think they could have done it just especially because you're doing this sequel. Yo, what's up, Mohammed? You're doing this sequel on the PS5, the next console now, with this new theme of getting revenge on these 6 guys all over the map. You could have just gone full open, let us unravel this revenge plot in our own way, which would even be better replay value. Do it in different ways each time, okay? I'll squeeze in another positive. I think the combat was better in this game. I think the new weapons in this game work better than the stances of the first game. In the first game, it was like wind stance, water stance, and you would just like change your stance based on the enemy type. Like if they had a shield, you would do this stance, and like it kind of felt really video gamey, right? This does the same kind of thing, but you've got different weapons, and I think it works better. It's more fun, and it just kind of makes more sense. You know, you gotta like use the katana for this guy, use the odachi for the big fat guy, and like stuff like that. But it's just cooler, and it works better, and it's another improvement, okay? So now, back to just my overall gripe of the game that I have. The story is the weaker point of the game overall. I do love everything I said about the open world and all that side stuff is so way better than the first, okay? But the minute that they start kind of doing this similar story, guys. Now, here's the spoilers. Get ready. Here's the spoilers. You get to a point where the story becomes very focused on the whole moral dilemma of Atsu and like, you know, the cost of revenge. Do I even need to get revenge or want to get revenge, or what is it taking from me? You know, like these kind of like tropey themes of revenge, right? To where when you get to the Kitsune is the first one that kind of this happens. And so I was riding high up to the Oni after the first guy and everything, right? But then the Kitsune is the first one where it's like, oh, we don't kill her. We spare her. And she kind of becomes a part of the story. And now you guys can agree or disagree. That's the fun of this. Okay, that's why the chat's on the screen anyway right now. Because I know some people will disagree. And if you loved it and loved the characters and the story, that's great. And I do want to say, I enjoyed Atsu as a character. Story aside, she had some banger one-liners here and there in moments when you're even out there doing stuff. And I liked it. I did. I thought she was cool. But now, the minute you spare the Kitsune, I was like, okay, we're going to start doing the same kind of moral stuff as Jin. Like, it's going to be one of those things again, where you're kind of at this, like, moral conflict with yourself. And then from that point on, the main story felt like just kind of very similar to Jin's feelings to me. And I know it's like different, right? Because it's like samurai honor versus lack of honor in shinobi ways. And this is like revenge or not revenge. But it just kind of felt so samey. I can't deny that. And I was really, really hoping that they were just gonna, and I'm probably the minority here. I wanted them to just not even care that much about the story and give me just cold-hearted, savage revenge. Like we started out, wiping the sash. But it evolved. And unfortunately, her character experienced growth for me. And, and then she's questioning it all. And, but then each next Yōtei kind of gets more complicated. I guess we did kill the dragon, right? But then there was even the other guy that was like, do we kill him? Do we not kill him? And then you've got Jubei, your brother, who like, I gotta be honest, in retrospect, at the end, he kind of seemed like he was just sitting off stage and was like waiting for his cue to run out and die. Like he was like looking over at the devs like, right now? Is now the time? And they're like, go. And then he runs out with a sword and he dies. Right when he needs to die, just so it can happen the way they want. And so I was not the biggest fan of the main story itself, but that does not mean that I think it was bad. That's the thing. Because I even thought the story of Tsushima was one of the weaker parts, even though it was great. I liked the rest of it more, So that's kind of where I land with that. And now I want to tell you just a few little nitpicks. I jotted some stuff down as we went through. I'm not kidding. I jotted some stuff down. You ready? Okay. Isolated regions. It's not wide open world, even though it's kind of would feel like it would fit a wide open world with this theme, right? Okay. Can't take down the Yōtei 6 in any order. Wish you could. Would be cool. Would be better replay value. Okay, here's another one. Now the game is beautiful. I cannot deny that the game is beautiful. One of the best looking, okay? But I do wish that they kind of experimented more with some of these boss fights that you'd come across or these guys out here. Because when you're at 30 or 40 hours in, it does kind of start to feel like I'm fighting another sword guy just one-on-one, but it's another different beautiful backdrop environment, And the first 10 beautiful backdrop environments are sick. But then number 11, I'm like, okay, it's still beautiful. I'm still in a cool swamp with flowers, but it's still just kind of fighting some guy that's cycling through weapons again. Does that make sense? You're kind of lacking, I don't know, some of the creativeness that you could have done in some of these fights, I guess, It starts to just feel like the environment and the beauty carries some of it as you get hours and hours in, okay? Okay? I've got another nitpick. Some of the animations are just a little wonky, okay? And they were wonky in Tsushima as well, but this is a sequel. You see how a lot of these are tied to it being a sequel. And here's what I mean by that. Pretend you've downed some guy, and you know how they'll be crawling on the ground? And then you can hit square to end their suffering, and then you come over and stab them on the ground. If you hit square when you're too far away or at a weird angle, Atsu, your character, will do this weird Michael Jackson slide up and then stab him. It looks real weird. And I think the reason it comes up even more is the bosses will do it to you. So when a boss kills you, they'll often come up to you and put you down on the ground like that too. So you see it a lot, is what I'm getting at. You see it a lot. So you'll constantly see them walk up and do this awkward power slide, electric slide up to you at super speed. And it just kind of breaks the immersion, okay? That's a nitpick. Same with animations where you're jumping to assassinate somebody. There'll be weird things where things will click into place in weird ways. Pretend I jump off a roof to assassinate some guy, but he's kind of to my left and behind me. She'll jump and then defy gravity and suck to him. It just kind of weird. Kind of weird, okay? So that's another just nitpick that happened in the first game that you'd wish wouldn't be in the sequel as much. To add to that, another nitpick. I wish there was true ragdoll. I wish there was... I'm telling these because I love the game. I say this because I love the game and I want them to improve. I wish there was true ragdoll, at least to a degree. Right now, there is none. And in a lot of ways, it works out in the game's favor, and there's a certain style, and it's great. But because there's not true ragdoll to some of the physics and the body parts and stuff, weird things will happen. For example, chop off a guy's arm. If his arm lands in some weird spot, by a rock or it'll be floating and it'll just be a an amputated arm just floating in the air, right? If their body lands weird, and you'll be dueling guys out here in rivers, on rocks, like you'll be out here. If their body lands weird, like half on a ledge or something, it just lays flat and like is in the air. It's not a good look. And I hope by now you're at least getting a trend from what I've said about this game, that the things that I value, at least out of Tsushima in this game, are the presentation, the slick swordplay with the immersive samurai role-playing stuff I can do out here. So all these nitpicks are related to breaking that immersion. Okay? Because I can stomach the story even if I don't hate it, as long as this other stuff was just like perfect, right? So it'd be cool to see some kind of ragdoll to a degree to where those weird things wouldn't happen if I chop. And again, I think it's because I'm not even looking for these things as much, but this game does a lot of like slow motion action stuff. So it'll like slow down time. You'll chop an arm off. And then so like you'll see it, you'll like your attention is on it. And if it lands weird, then it lands weird, you know? I got another one. You ready? I got another one. Now, this one is funny, and I just did this yesterday, and I posted a clip of it, and already there's some people in the comments saying that it's a dumb thing to complain about. So you guys can tell me what you think, okay? But this is more of a, I don't know, a gameplay flavor taste. And maybe you like it or maybe you don't. Maybe it's more of like my own personal taste more than a critique. Who knows? You tell me. But when you're fighting the main bosses in this game, the main ones, okay? Like the ones that have the health bar at the top. They'll be broken in, a lot of them will be broken into like phases. You know, phase 1, 2, and 3. But what they'll do is they break up those phases using this like cinematic clash. And it happens in like pretty much all of them, I feel like. But you'll be fighting, and then they're triggered to where when you get their health down enough, then on your next attack, they'll kind of block you and you'll clash and you'll say something to each other. And then you'll start fighting again. And that's when you can damage them again, getting them down to the next time that happens, all the way through the phases. But we broke it yesterday, and some of the people were saying, well, you're dumb. Don't break it then. I just disagree, bro. So here's what happened. And then, but I think it's a good example of what highlights what I don't like about this kind of system. So we were fighting this guy. It was even one of the Yōtei 6. It was the dragon. So main, one of the 6 main bosses. And you can attack him so fast. I wasn't even doing something special, by the way. It wasn't like some weird exploit. You can attack him so fast with the dual katanas that he can't recover from being hit long enough to trigger the clash to get to the next phase. So what you can do is just sit there and hit him for as long as you want. And he's just bleeding. Blood's coming out everywhere, right? You can do it for 40 hours if you want it, right? But his health isn't going down at all. At all. Because he's waiting to trigger that cinematic little phase thing. And so, man, like, you could argue, well, stop stun locking him and fight it how... This is really what they said in the comments. Fight it how they want you to fight him, and then it'll be good. God forbid they want to tell a story. And I'm like, here's the thing. You can do these guardrails in a different way. You could have done this in a better way. It does not feel good that I can just like hit the boss over and over and over and over and his health bar is not moving, and it makes it feel too like I'm peeking behind the curtain. I'm remembering I'm playing a video game and I gotta wait for him to trigger this clash. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Just if I find a way to beat your ass, I beat your ass, okay? That's it. Skip the phases like other games do. Skip them entirely. Make it to where he breaks into it immediately. Doesn't need to block my attack to clash. There's other ways to do it, is what I'm saying, okay? So that by the way, that one is the most nitpicky out of the nitpickies. Now, I got one more group of nitpicks. You ready? One more. This game does have just little whiffs of that Sony AAA big budget exclusive games. They all have it. You guys know what I'm saying? Can anybody guess in the chat? I'm talking things like the character talks to herself too much. She narrates everything. Not as much as Aloy from Forbidden West. Not as much as Aloy, but that's why I say it's got whiffs of it. It's got the whole climb the rocks that are, kind of labeled as climby rocks. Just one way up, one way down. Lots of stuff like that all over the place. Lots of press R2 to squeeze through gap. Drop a like if you know about press R2 to squeeze through gap. Yes, like Kratos from God of War. Like all of the all I'm saying is it's got some of that Sony stank up on it. Sometimes the Sony stank is good. But I'm just played out on the character talking. I'm played out on the squeeze through gap. I'm played out on the climby, the rocks that are like, they're not yellow paint, thankfully, but they might as well be. Yeah. That's where I'm at. And so, overall, let's give a review. Now, I know I had to get those off my chest at the end, you guys. I know. But I do want to let you know, I still actually loved this game. I think one thing people really struggle with nowadays, I don't know why. It's either like you love it or you hate it. And if you love it, you can't acknowledge anything bad about it. And if you hate it, you can't acknowledge anything good about it. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm going to do here. Okay? I actually do love this game. This was sick. I just spent 50 hours in this game and it was sick. And a lot of it was great. Pacing at the end, like we said, got a little weird. It got a little weird. I just overall, maybe I'm a grumpy old man like we said, but like I would have been like way more down with full open world, track down the Yōtei 6 as you want to, and then each one is this crazy cool samurai movie fucking throwback, like savage kill, wipe it off the sash, all the way to the end. Polar opposite of Jin. Polar opposite. And then you would have had Ghost of Tsushima, which is the story of the dude that had the moral dilemma and was conflicted, but then you got the dark side, the other side of that coin. Ghost of Yōtei, Atsu, savage wolf animal, cut your throat. Rah! That's what I wanted. So overall, great game. Oh yeah, you know what? I should have put this earlier on because a lot of people have talked about this. The Onro Howl mechanic, bro, I don't like it. So in the first game, you've got the ghost stance, which was really good. Okay? Because ghost stance had a lot of build up to it. You didn't get ghost stance right away as Jin in the first game. You played through I feel like it was 10 hours or so. It was a while. And then finally you got to this moment where you chopped this commander's head off and unlocked ghost stance by doing it. And everybody was scared, and it was this epic moment that fit into the story. It was I don't know, it was way more intentional. But then in here, they start you out with this thing called Onro Howl. I did not like this. It's essentially a mild form. I know King Kai is going to back it up with the upgraded wolf. I get it, bro. But just hear me out. It kind of feels like a downgraded version of Ghost Stance, where she goes with her arms like this, and then the wind blows, and I think it's supposed to be tied to this whole character trait of Atsu, that she's at one with nature, and the wolves are she helps out the wolves and they're on her side. And there are upgrades with the wolves that can make Onro Howl better, I guess. But the whole game, it felt like a weaker Ghost Stance. Because then you just kill one guy and it ends it, unless you get these upgrades, I guess. I don't know. But then later in the game, quite honestly, near the end, the final day that we played, we unlocked ghost stance and chopped off this dude's head again. So they give you ghost stance anyway, which in my opinion just really negates even having the on-row howl. I barely even used the howl. I just didn't, not because I thought it was so dumb and hated it, just because it didn't feel like I didn't need it. It was just, I did play on hard, by the way, and it was challenging. I died a lot. And then one more quick thing, let me hit you with a quickie, okay? Because of what I love about these games being so immersive in the presentation and stuff, I wish they would take just a couple baby steps away. Shout out to baby steps. Just take a couple baby steps away from the whole blue color block, red color dodge, yellow color do the slash move. You know, maybe there's something even in the settings where I could turn that off. I don't know. There might be a hardcore mode that it doesn't do it. Maybe. In fact, it'd be a cool way to do that. Add a mode for, people like me that hate themselves that don't want that. And then I can remove it. Because it does, that falls into the category of the AAA Sony. Where they gotta just be so accessible. You know what I mean? But it's red, yellow, blue. And then you kind of just are looking for the colors. And in a lot of games that are different artistically, I think it works. In a game like this, that is just, I love it because any shot I could take a picture of and hang it on my wall is not the right place for that, in my opinion. All right, so final verdicts, guys. What are your scores from 1 to 10? Ghosts of Yōtei. Are you a hater or do you love it? How does it stack up? I'm going to tell you where I'm at. I'm at an 8 out of 10. Ghost of Yōtei. There are times in this game I was at a 10. I'm not even kidding. There are things in this game that are a 10. Many of them. And even though I give it an 8, I enjoyed it more than Tsushima, and I think it is overall a better gameplay experience than Tsushima. Unless you really only care about the story and all the other stuff is nonsense to you, then maybe you'd like Tsushima more. Okay? 8 out of 10. Loved it. 8's a really good score. This actually was one of my favorite games of the year. Definitely in top 5, maybe top 3. But so I would just I said this on one of the streams, but man, I would love to see Sucker Punch get a little bit more creative now. You've nailed this, and I enjoy it for the most part. I really do. But I want to see crazy bosses now, you've done the whole authentic samurai thing, right? Picture this team with this presentation giving us crazy beast bosses and particle effects flying off them and just crazy different mechanics of the bosses. Yeah, let's go outside the box now, bro. Let's go spiritual. I see 9.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I could see the 9s out of 10. I started at a 10. Okay? If Tsushima didn't exist, it's a 9 or a 10. But that's where I'm at. Loved it. I had a really fun playthrough with you guys, for real. This is a good one. And Sucker Punch really has yet to put out anything that's been not a banger, as far as I'm concerned. So, shout out to them. It's a good game. I recommend it. Okay? Now, if anybody is down to hang out and do some throwback old school, let's go blast through Halo 2 Legendary, you pussies. Okay?